passe l'artiste. Super, encore un but sensationnel. That's a brilliant bit of follow-up play by Mahe. Oh my goodness me, what a shot.
Sagosen setter det hen! Han setter den! De i semifinale igjen!
Hello everyone and welcome to the Uninformed Handball Hour. It's Chris O'Reilly with you, and it is quarterfinal week in the Men's Champions League. Perhaps the most exciting phase of the competition. And last week we were bringing you a preview of the Women's Champions League quarterfinals, bigging them up, and goodness me, did they live up to expectations. Later on in the week we will be going into a little bit more depth in that for our morning club, looking ahead to the weekend's second leg games. Basically, we can say that it's all very finely poised. We had Courtney Gahan on at the end of last week talking about Henny Reistad and Team Esbjerg as they were looking to book a spot in the final four once again against Christina Niagu, and her final game at home as a Chesima Bucuresti player that lived up to expectations as the 1-goal game. Chesima beating Esbjerg 30-29, giving them a chance, keeping them in the contest heading into the second leg. Odense against FTC 27 all, incredibly tight as well, with FTC coming from behind to snatch a draw and giving them a little bit of the edge heading into the second leg. Djur and Ludwigsburg decided in a last-second penalty scored by Christina Jurgensen for Djur to win 25-24. And Metz, the only side with a bit of a comfortable win over Brest Bretagne, winning away from home 29-26, but taking a second leg lead at home is not always a guarantee, as we know, particularly with Metz, and we think back to their catastrophe a couple of years ago, losing against FTC. So all very nicely poised. We will be talking in more depth about that on the morning club later in the week. So if you want to catch that, you can join us on Patreon, patreon.com/handball hour. You can also listen back to our chat with Courtney from a few days ago, and we might just be throwing up a little bit of a bonus relating to a player I mentioned just a couple of seconds ago as she comes to the end of her playing career. That's the only other hint I'll give you there. Something we did in the past we'll be throwing up for you to listen to again. But our focus for this podcast is going to be the Men's Champions League quarterfinals, and speaking to us will be Marcio Menino. Marcio is actually over in Nantes right now. He's been doing some documentary work for the EHF, speaking to some players. Nantes will be facing Sporting in one of the most intriguing quarterfinals, but let's face it, they're all incredibly intriguing quarterfinals. Magdeburg versus Veszprém and Nantes versus Sporting on Wednesday, and followed by Szeged versus Barça and Berlin versus Aalborg on Thursday. So without any further ado, let's bring in Marcio. Joining us from Nantes on the eve of the quarterfinals of the Champions League, it's Marcio Menino. Marcio, how you doing, my friend?
Hey Chris, hi everybody. I'm good. A bit tired, but everything is fine so far. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I say on the eve, it's very late in the eve before the quarterfinals start, and you've every reason to be tired. You've been a busy man interviewing Sporting players before they go into the battle in what is a historic occasion for them and Portuguese handball.
True. I'm in this work that I had to come previous for the quarterfinals. We're doing a special thing for the quarterfinals, like a big coverage of all the matches. And I spoke with the Portuguese players from Sporting and also the coach previously. Good talk, just 1 or 2 questions, but they seem good spirits.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about the atmosphere, the vibe you're getting. You spoke to Coach Ricardo Costa and the heart and soul of the team, Salvador. What did you get from them when you were chatting earlier?
It's funny that you say that because as a Portuguese, I know Ricardo Costa's career, and he's been a player for so long, and now he's this stratospheric career as coach. But he is indeed excited, but at the same time very calm and very paused because he knows the responsibility of all. It's not just another game. Is history being written in handball, not just Portuguese handball, but in handball. And he knows that he wants to go step by step, and he has this very clear objective. And it's nice. It's nice to see that it still has that passion inside of him. Content, but still has the passion.
Particularly with going on this journey with this team alongside his two sons as well, which is an incredible aspect of this story, and something that I think maybe outside of Portugal and outside of maybe the real handball nerds among us is something that kind of gets lost a little bit. There's so much about the brothers, and of course they doing great work for Sporting and for the Portuguese national team. But the fact that they have their father as this, not just their leader in their handball careers, but also quite literally the leader of the team as well as the coach is an amazing thing. And that kind of brings me on to one of the big things that I think a lot of people are wondering about, and that's the fitness of the younger Costa brother, Kiko, who I think when we spoke last in the podcast, or at least when we spoke off the record, you reckoned he would be back in time for the Final Four, maybe even the quarterfinals. And the word is that he has been making his way back into the team.
Yep, he started the last time with Porto for the Portuguese Championship, and he played a few bids, won the match thanks to that. But I saw that he's completely fine. He looks fine. So I expect some Kiko action in the game against Nantes, and I think the coach also is expecting that. So we'll see. But he looks tremendously fine. He was practicing with everybody, so he did everything. So
nice. That's really good news. I think at this stage of the competition, you want to have as many of the big names there battling it out, which is continuously a growing problem for their opponents in Nantes, who have really struggled with injuries in this spring. This quarterfinal matchup, I think, for a lot of people is kind of one of the most intriguing ones because there are lots of big names in all the other quarterfinal matchups. Nantes have been as far as the final of the Champions League. They're by no means a smaller team, but a team that go in and out of this competition, and a team that I guess are pretty close to your heart as well. You've been to Nantes quite a few times over the last few years. There have been a lot of Portuguese players playing over the years as well, so you get a feeling for what the club is about as well. Does this feel like a kind of a perfect quarterfinal matchup for Marcio, the handball fan?
Man, for the handball fan, this is amazing because I've been in Nantes, like you said, many, many times along the years. This is my fourth time this year already.
Wow.
It's the fourth time that I come here. Nantes never lost this season with me here. They have 2 wins, 1 draw. So I was actually talking with some of the staff, and they were mentioning that you come with Sporting, but have you told them that we never lost with you here? So it's funny, but it's an amazing setup. I think even Portela, who played here, was taking some pictures, like nostalgic moments.
Yeah,
and it's amazing to come here to this arena with almost 6,000 people, with a marching band, with the speaker going around in this motorcycle, whatever that is, and just spending the entire match speaking. It's such a nice environment. I think they're gonna love it. They're gonna feel the pressure, of course. Sporting's gonna feel the pressure, but it's like you said, it's not going easy for Nantes because of all the injuries. But I think they can manage and perform and give a really nice show for this quarterfinals. And it's going to be very, very tight game, I think.
Yes, it really feels like that. I mean, there's so much to win for both of these two teams that you feel like both will go all at it, but there will be some interesting tactical battles in there as well. And maybe a little bit with Kiko coming back just in time. There is word that Aymeric Amin might also be back. He's been on the bench a little bit for the team, scored a goal, I think, in the last game. So I think he's maybe not being rushed back as quickly. But if there's ever a time to throw a man into the action, it is this. So it's all setting up really nicely. Based on what you know of this Sporting team, what do you think the approach is going to be for the first leg? They have had a great record at home, managed a lot of good victories in this Champions League season at home. Will it just be about trying to, put themselves in a position to take control in the second leg, knowing what you know about how tricky it is to play away against Nantes?
Yeah, for sure. They want to go. They want to make the decision back home. They want to take the decision home. But I think they're going to give everything here. They're not going to save anything. They're just going to just throw themselves up here, and it's something like that saying, if you smell an injured lion, you go there, but you still you still know that it's even injured, the lion can roar. So I think the approach will be among those spaces. If they feel the injury, they go. If they smell the blood, they'll go. But at the same time, they know that they have to keep their defense safe, because Nantes is really at home. It's an impressive. They're the ones doing comebacks or winning by 9 when they need to win by 4, like they did with Vizsla. So at a given time, they were winning by 9 and just controlling the game and being pushed by the amazing fans. So I think that Sporting wants to avoid that for sure. They want to be controlling the pace probably and avoiding like big fights, just probably. I think a good score for them would be a draw. Excellent score, I think. Losing by 1 would be amazing for Sporting, because they will probably manage back home, as they did the entire season. So, but Ricardo hates mistakes. He's a very he's a bit superstitious though, and yeah, he likes things to. If I win like doing this, then I will keep doing that. Like if nothing changes, then I'll keep doing it. So we'll see. We'll see. Sporting has a good chance to at least draw here.
I think that'll put them in a really good position if they manage to do that. A little bit more broadly on Sporting then and their season. It's been a couple of years. It felt like we were waiting for them to get a chance at this, particularly with the emergence of the Costa brothers. Porto had been the big dogs getting the championship title and stagnating a little bit in the Champions League in the last couple of seasons. So to see a Portuguese team got to really take the step up, and I think basically since they beat Veszprém in that home game, have been on everybody's radar. Like Xavi Pascual saying very early in the season, this is a real team for the Final Four. Now they are just 120 minutes away from reaching that. Have you been surprised by how well this season has gone for them in what is, as this contingent, as this group of players, a first season in the Champions League?
I have to admit that I am surprised, but I knew that Sporting could have the accomplishment of at the home games, it would be a fortress, and they proved it. I spent times talking with this guy that owns a bar, oldest bar in town, and we talk about. He's coming to the game actually.
Nice.
Yeah, and we spent. He's very Sporting fan and all, and he's been an handball for so many years, and we always talk about it. He goes like, "No, we have to do it. We have to do it." And I said, "Look, if Sporting wins all the home matches, or at least makes points on home matches, and have 2-3 wins outside, anything is possible." They did more than that, and they qualified in second. And like you said, immediately all the radars, all the lights and the sounds of alarms were like, "Oh my God, what is happening here?" So I think that for the first year of championship, for 90% of the team, I think only 2 players didn't play Champions League. It's such a huge feat, such a huge accomplishment just to reach the quarterfinals. Imagine getting to the Final Four. I think if something like that happens, hearts will explode in the stands of Sporting João Rocha in the hall, man. I think people will go nuts if that happens.
I hope it is really, as you say, a close game, that we get to experience something like that in the second leg. Do you make them favourites in your mind?
Right now, I think so, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
especially with all the all the injuries in Nantes, all this the loss against Paris, and now trailing in second when they were in front in the league. Kind of like this depressive state, which can be something that they can build on. Like getting out of the well if they win against Sporting. But I don't think that in terms of confidence, Sporting right now is on top. It's the top team right now in confidence.
I want to ask you a little bit about the other quarterfinals as well. We'll start with the
Sure.
other game on Wednesday, Magdeburg and Veszprém. Magdeburg with a bit of a re-emergence, a resurgence in spring. They've gotten their players back from injury now as well, facing a Veszprém side that you feel like something is boiling there, or at least for most of the season, you felt like something was boiling, but then they end up losing the Hungarian Cup final to Szeged very recently. But all of that, I think, will be out the window over the course of these two matches. A proper blockbuster quarterfinal between two teams that I think very much believe they deserve a spot in Cologne.
For sure, Magdeburg has been the top team, one of the top teams in the last 2-3 years, and they know that they know how to get there to the final four. They know how to be there, and aside all the problems that they have, it looks like they were like a renewed, a refreshed team coming up, and they will sell. If they lose, they will sell it very, very toughly. I don't think that it's going to be that. If Veszprém wins now, like tomorrow, I don't think that Veszprém will win by 3 or 4 goals. It's going to be like something like 1 goal or decided in the last second, something like that. Veszprém lost against Szeged. They have this, their pride is struck, they feel that they need to do more. And you saw the stands on that match. After that match, this Remy Lee shouting against the fan,
clash with the fan,
clash with the fan. And I think they will get that. They will Veszprém will build on that. But Magdeburg is such a great team with such a great players. It's so weird. Sometimes I feel like they're gonna go there and smash everything up, and others I feel that, oh well, just another day, just another loss. But I don't feel that it's gonna be like that on this match now. It's gonna be probably the toughest game in this quarterfinals. I think it's going to be a lot of physicality, a lot of probably injuries. I don't know. Hope not, but I think there will be no man standing.
Exactly. A little bit like Magdeburg and Kielce last season when it went to penalties in that quarterfinal. I have a strange feeling that the away team could win both matches in this one. Nobody's so rock solid at home in this kind of European encounter, and you'd imagine that Veszprém feel like they don't want to be chasing a team at home. They want to have something to hold on to, because we have seen that not work for them. Almost be better if they're playing the first leg at home. They can try and wipe the opposition out rather than having to get the job done in the second leg. But in there, do you have a side that you're slightly in favor of reaching Cologne?
I would like to see Veszprém though. I would like to see Veszprém. I don't know. I think they need. It's kind of like you feel they're the eternal contenders. You always think that they deserve to be there because they have such amazing players. Some of the best players in the world there, and you want to watch them go to the final. And probably win something, because they haven't won anything. So it's kind of like the eternal promise of winning.
Yeah.
So maybe I feel that maybe they deserve it. I don't know.
Well, there's a reference in another sport, which is an athlete closer to my heart as an Irishman in golf, Rory McIlroy, who finally last week won the Masters at basically every year for 11 years. People have been asking, is this his time to win it? And with it, he won the career Grand Slam, so winning all 4 major tournaments over the course of his career. Something that's only been done by one other person in the last 60 years. And I'm guessing even if you're not a golf fan, you would recognize the name Tiger Woods. So he's joined that club.
Finally.
And so I feel like it is a similar thing with Veszprém now. Every year we're asking, is this their year? Are they going to finally do it? It feels like maybe the pressure has been a little bit less this year, which has worked out for them. But I think if they get through this, it'll all go back to normal. And we'll be talking about that and whether they'll finally get over that disastrous loss in 2016 to Kielce. To the side who beat them now a couple of weeks ago, Szeged, who shocked everyone in that playoff round with the away win over PSG. And they must be feeling very, very confident right now, facing a Barça side, Marcio, who've lost 2 games recently in the Spanish league. We talked a bit about this a little bit in the podcast last week, and maybe, figured it probably won't make too much of a difference to how they're going to feel coming into this game. But Szeged have been a bit of a thorn in the side of this Barça team.
I agree. And I agree that they come like this kind of like underdog, Nobody gave anything like 5 cents for PEAK Szeged the entire season. Nobody.
We recorded our review podcast before the game happened.
It's like nobody gave anything for PEAK Szeged, and then they just, here I am. Thank you. And now the show is, I think it's too late, like to stop the motion, the truck in motion. Although I think that these 2 losses for Barcelona was kind of like the losses of someone who was already a champion without being officially champion, It's always the same for them. They win the championship in March, April, and then they spend 2 months just thinking about Champions League. And you can never throw them away because of this, because they always have time to prepare each match very meticulously, very, everything is calculated, everything is thought. So they have plenty of time for that. PEAK, on the other hand, doesn't have that. But I think they have this humongous heart that they showed at the Cup, for example, against the Veszprém, and this team that has this belief. And I think that it's probably be enough at home, Probably will be enough at home to at least take the draw, against Barcelona, to take all the pressure to the Palau in Spain.
Yeah, and a result they've already managed this season is getting a draw. But something that comes to my mind with Barca and quarterfinals is that they do not mess around. They don't take the piss at this point. Last season, in the quarterfinal stage, they blew away PSG in the first leg. The year before, they beat Georgi by 6-7 goals quite comfortably. Flensburg, they did the same, beat them by 4 in both games in the quarterfinals. And just year after year, it's been, a comfortable. It's been the quarterfinal that we can almost rule out that Barca are going to be there. So there is always that fear that happens. Of course, that they have a team that can potentially do that. But I agree with you. I think it will be a little bit tighter this year, and I think they're going to be made to sweat, perhaps for the first time. And it could be a really good thing. I mean, if Szeged managed to get a win and make Barca have to do something in that second leg, I remember a few years ago, back when Victor Tomás was still playing, interviewing him after a quarterfinal win at home, and he said, yeah, look, this is the only game of the year when the fans actually come out and it's full. So maybe if they need to do something in the quarterfinal, their fans will come out and they'll try and make it a special occasion for them. So it could be a great thing for Barca as well. But you're putting them favourites as well.
Yeah.
Last one then, and I think this goes back to another 50-50 call, at least in my book. Fuchse Berlin and Aalborg.
I'm not disliking at all this Fuchse. I think the fact that they're using a lot of players coming from the academy, and they play a lot of time, a lot of minutes, and the goalkeepers and all, everything is, it's kind of like everything is prepared to just let Gidsel fly. It's kind of like, don't worry, Matthias, just do your thing, and we take care of the rest. I think that for sure it's going to be an interesting match against Aalborg. Aalborg knows, definitely Morgard knows how to stop Gidsel. I don't know if
Sure.
I don't know if he still has the legs for that. I don't know if he will be the one stopping him, but at least he knows how to stop him, and he knows the biggest strength of Matthias Gidsel. So we'll see. Um, I know that Miguel is probably not playing because he got injured again. Miguel Martins,
Okay.
the shoulder just snapped again. So it probably has to go and check if he has to do surgery or not. So it's an injury for Aalborg, and I think it becomes even more tough for the Danish team because the bench is missing a few of them.
Yeah.
Although Fuchs also has some troubles with injuries, but we'll see.
True. Yeah, it feels like both teams are going to be relying on a relatively small group of players, which does throw in
like 10, 11 players maximum.
Exactly. And that does throw in a little bit of the randomness in as well, because you're not guaranteed that every player is gonna have the game. Also, that they need also in the goalkeeper department. There's like the very, very high level of Milosavljev and Landin at either end, but it could also not happen, and then you're relying on other areas of the court. You mentioned Mulgaard there, and I remember last year in the semi-final of the Champions League, he was able to pull off a massive defensive performance, like a masterclass for Aalborg, showing that back then, it wasn't so long ago that he was still able to do it. But a little bit like with Sporting, at this point of the season, it feels like Fuchs really belong in this competition. And for a team that has had a big absence from the Champions League, it almost feels like they've been there year after year. They've really settled into it really nicely. And it does feel like a little bit of that destiny for Matthias Gidsel as well, that he needs to experience this, and it's almost crazy that he hasn't been there yet at the Final Four. I mean, there hasn't been any real opportunities for that to happen. This is the first opportunity, and it'll probably inspire something very special from him.
For true. It's kind of like, we had with Mikkel Hansen, winning all the titles with the Danish national team and all, and then never winning the Champions League. We don't want, I don't think any fan in handball wants Matthias Gidsel to suffer the same curse, so to say. I'm not saying it's a curse, but we want him at a given point to win the Champions League, because it's something that at his age, with everything he's accomplished so far, it's kind of like, take this. This is the biggest trophy of them all, and now you can wrap your career. Now you can do anything you want after this.
With that in mind, then, do you have Fuchs as your slight favorites?
I think so, yeah. Slightly favorite, yes.
Ooh, yes.
Especially, I think they want to go all in this first game at home. Like, they don't want to go to Aalborg trailing or anything. They just want to. I think they want to smash it now, win big now, like 4-5, and just hope for the best in Aalborg.
There you go. So you're in Nantes for the game tomorrow, and for the second leg, is your destination set? Will you be home, so to speak, in Sporting?
I will.
Very nice.
That's my place. That's where I'll be for the maybe party. I don't know. It depends on the 120 minutes, but we'll see.
No, it's exciting times this coming couple of days and next week. Marcio, thank you as always.
Thank you
for joining, and enjoy the game tomorrow.
Take care.
Well, there was Marcio's take. Very exciting times, and I'm sure, just like me and Marcio, you're looking forward to these quarterfinals. Oh, they're so exciting. There were some big quarterfinals as well taking place on Tuesday evening in the European League, and just like what we're expecting over the next couple of days, and just like we saw in the Women's Champions League quarterfinals, some incredibly tight contests. We had one draw between Limoges and TAV Kiel, where we had Saif Eldara and Yusuf Faruk doing battle against Kiel. 26-all that one ended in France, and Limoges actually having quite a comfortable lead towards the end of the first half, which they couldn't hold on to, unfortunately for them, and Kiel managing to give themselves a fighting chance of making it a cup double this season. Porto losing by a single goal against Montpellier, 29-30 the score in that one. Melsungen ravaged by injury, and sadly it's just getting worse for them with Nebojša Simic out, not just for the rest of the season but probably for the rest of this year, as he suffered a cruciate ligament tear over the weekend. They were also playing without their big men at right back, with Nikolai Endeleit and Danis Kristapans out for this game with short-term injuries. They still managed to get a 1-goal win over Bidasoa Iran. That one, though, very tightly poised heading into the game in Spain next week. And Flensburg, the only side to gain a measure of comfort from the first leg, as they beat Georgi 29-26. So we may also be talking a little bit more about that on next week's pod, looking forward to the second leg in the quarterfinals. But until then, everyone, thank you for joining us for this. A reminder again to join us on Patreon, patreon.com/handball hour, if you want to enjoy more content later this week. But in the meantime, enjoy those quarterfinals, and we'll talk again soon. Goodbye.